Welcome to the Shuv Show. I'm your host, Christene Jackman. Okay, when I study the scriptures, questions pop off the page. My brain is wired to ask why and how. One mysterious thing to me was, why did God have to destroy the earth with the flood of Noah's day? If the problem was mankind's wickedness, and all flesh had corrupted their ways, why not just send a plague that wipes out those offending, air-breathing creatures? Why include the ground in that devastation? I let this question rumble about in my brain and asked Adonai to explain, why did he destroy the ground too? Well, as so frequently happens, I discovered anew that Scripture interprets Scripture. The answer was revealed in a biblical genealogy list. Yep, it's worth reading all those names. First, let's read the reason given in Bereshit, Genesis 6, for sending the great flood. Stick with me because you're going to see something cool in a bit. Okay. It happened when men began to multiply on the surface of the ground, and the daughters were born to them, that the sons of God, B'nai ha-Elohim, saw that men's daughters, Benot ha-Adam, were beautiful, and they took for themselves wives of all that they chose. Adonai said, My spirit will not strive with man forever, because he is also flesh, yet will his days be 120 years. The Nephilim were in the Eretz in those days, and also after that, when the sons of Elohim, B'nai ha-Elohim, came into the daughters of men. They bore children to them. The same were the mighty men, Giborim, who were of old, men of renown. Adonai saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thought of his hearts was only evil continually. Adonai was sorry, he was grieved that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him to his heart. Adonai said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the surface of the ground, man along with the animals, creeping things, and birds of the sky, for I am sorry that I have made them. But Noah, found favor in Adonai's eyes. This is the history of the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, a Zadik. He was Tamim, without blemish, among the people of his time. Noah walked with Elohim. Noah became the father of 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Yafet. The earth was corrupt before Elohim, and the Eretz was filled with violence. That word there in Hebrew is Hamas. Elohim saw the earth, and saw that it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. Elohim said to Noah, The end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. Behold, I will destroy them with the earth. It's kind of interesting, too, just a little side note, that earlier it was Adonai, or the Yud-He-Vav-He name, but here in what we just read, the Hebrew is actually Elohim. Another question. Why the switch? Let's continue with verse 14. Make an ark, a tevat of gopher wood. You shall make rooms in the ark, and shall seal it inside and outside with kopher. By the way, kopher literally means to cover. In this context, kopher, kafar, means to cover it with pitch, tar, bitumen, that kind of thing. But it's interesting to note that this word can also be used in relation to atonement, covering. It can figuratively mean to cleanse, forgive, disannul, pardon, purge, make reconciliation. So the 8 people in the ark, the Teva, were in a vessel covered by a protecting element, both physically and spiritually. Okay, verse 15. This is how you shall make it. The length of the ark will be 300 cubits. A cubit is about 18 inches. The breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. You shall make a roof in the ark, and to a cubit you shall finish it upward. You shall set the door of the ark in the side of it. You shall make it with lower, second, and third levels. Verse 17. I, even I, do bring the flood of waters upon this earth, to destroy all flesh having the breath of life from under the sky. Everything that is in the earth will die. But I will establish my covenant with you. You shall come into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, your sons' wives with you. Of every living thing of all flesh you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark, to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female. Of the birds after their kind, and the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing on the ground, 2 of every sort shall come to you, to keep them alive. Take with you all the food that's eaten, and gather it to you, and it will be food for you and for them. And thus Noach did. According to all that Elohim commanded him, so he did. Side note here, in Genesis 7, God tells Noah to bring 1 pair of the unclean animals, but 7 pairs of the clean animals, and 7 pairs of the flying birds to keep seed alive on the earth. That's the reason given. Okay, in Genesis 6 we see fallen angels somehow mating with human women, creating an unclean hybrid known as the Nephilim. How they did this, I don't know. I know it says elsewhere that angels are not given in marriage. It doesn't say they can't procreate, but that they are not given in marriage. Perhaps cloning, I don't know. But if these B'nai HaElohim are simply human males mating with human women, as the Seth theory proposes, sorry, but that would not result in giants. No, there is a corrupting of God's creation going on, apparently not limited to humans, but also in air-breathing animals. Notice that it is God choosing which pairs of animals and birds are to go into the ark. He's hand-picking uncorrupted ones and impelling them to go to the ark. Okay now, so why pick a mode of annihilation by flood that not only kills the offending humans and air-breathing creatures, but also affects the ground itself? I found the answer in the genealogy list chapter of Bereshit, Genesis 5. Look at verse 28. And Lamech lived 182 years and begot a son, and he called his name Noach. Noah, it means rest, saying, This same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands because of the ground which the Lord has cursed. There it is. Although Lamech died 5 years before the great flood, Noah's dad had a prophetic sense of what was to come. There's the connection between Noah and the ground that had been cursed after the fall of Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve. The great flood mitigated the cursed ground by covering it with layers and layers of sediment, etc. The ground of planet Earth was vastly different after the deluge. The ground was healed, covered. Note what the Lord said after the flood and the ark had come to rest on the mountains of Ararat. We're looking at Genesis 8, starting with verse 20. Noach built an altar to Adonai, and took of every clean animal and of every clean bird, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. Adonai smelled the sweet savor. Adonai said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, because the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I ever again strike everything living as I have done. While the earth remains, seedtime and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night, shall not cease. End quote. In my humble opinion, the Creator used the flood mechanisms to reverse the curse on the ground. According to science, flooding can bring benefits, such as making soil more fertile and providing nutrients in which in many ways it was deficient. I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, God said. That's why send a flood and not a plague. This has been the Shuv Show. I'm your host, Christene Jackman. Laila Tov. Good night.